85 again, play the tape, make me feel like I'm home. Take me back again to see the look of that crow. The power of love is back on the screen, and we'll have 85 again. Play that movie. I want.
Mission fucking accomplished. Goon Swarm is not a threat.
Good luck with your old dumb nullsec war snuffed out #1. Anunnaki Keepstar is next, and then come on.
There, and then you were just going to fucking magically jump into EVE Online in a system, and it was just going to load, and nobody was going to call you fucking stupid later?
There's an Eagle fleet that has dive bombed a Megatron fleet. This is the bravest shit I have ever seen in my life.
The best possible shot to do something to the Imperium, and you fucked it up.
I talked a lot of shit over the last couple months. It's time to fucking eat some. And I showed up here to eat shit. Like,
The reason that this keeps started and get contested, and I cannot make this up, is because of tie-dye.
Guess where goons are going to live after this war is over?
Current plan is 319, I believe, right?
So,
Hi, sick.
I can
People
tell you very
overreacting.
clearly, our Diplos didn't even fucking care. Like,
White daddy.
Good evening. We are just under a week away from the main events in Eve's
Jesus
Fanfest.
Christ, jump right in.
Yeah. All right. Oh, welcome everybody. Today's the episode where
Fuck's
Redline
sake.
outs himself as a fairy. As you can see there, he is currently dressed as his fursona. He's decided to be some kind of a
A bear.
goat.
It's
Oh,
the
okay, a
abyss. It's
bear.
the abyssal bear. Holy
Okay.
shit.
All right.
And
Excellent.
look,
Well-
I've got Ravelin here as a spirit entity swirling about.
Void.
So like, what am I supposed to do here? Am I supposed to? What's going on?
How are you, Redliner? You're right.
I'm better
Or are you
now.
having a breakdown?
Well,
Okay,
I
not
was having a breakdown. I was having a little bit of a breakdown. You just jumped right in. We don't even know who you were. Of
Mm.
course he is. It's following my
Yeah.
face. It's because I'm
Yeah.
expressive.
And it's really good to see a watermark for the free unlicensed version of the software slowly bouncing around the screen. Really, really high quality stuff. Ravelin, welcome back to the show. How are you this week?
I'm very well, enjoying. A void slipping into where my heart would be.
Excellent. Ravelin's heart in the dead center of his chest cavity. Baltram, perhaps the only normal human being here today. How are you?
I'm fine, dude. I've been drinking something, some cocktail
yes.
all day since I woke up. I've been having an
Yeah.
amazing Sunday.
Me too.
Good.
Here and ready to pop off.
Excellent. By something, I assume that Baltram means the leaked water into the dish below the lovely pot plants in the back.
It's like
there.
called Lynchburg or something, dude. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, as I immediately opened with, we are less than a week away from the main activities of FanFest. People will be starting to do certain FanFest events starting tomorrow. There's a few things on and off during the week that people are going to be attending, but obviously the meat that people are waiting to get to know, that starts on the Friday. Now, we're here to talk about what we desperately wish would be announced, and also, hopefully with some crossover in an ideal world, what we reckon they might actually genuinely announce at the end of this coming week. Beltram, what's stopping you from logging into and playing EVE Online right now, and what could CCP announce that would start to make you interested in coming back?
Ooh, that's actually wow. I haven't thought about that, to be honest. I think that's really hard.
It's a big question.
Yeah, that's a big question because I think the answer, like, I think I know the answer, but I think it's a very complicated and very long answer that nobody wants to listen to.
Well, I tell you what.
Or
Why
I
don't you
think
give us
I
some
think
subjects first?
okay. So I don't like the blobification of things, but that's like a topic we've been talking about and everybody's been talking about, or some people at least, right? Like some people love the blob. I don't. I think blobs are fine, but there has to be room for small groups as well. And I think the gameplay currently just favors the gigantic blob, and that is fine, but there's no room to be small. Like it's not efficient to be small, you know? And I'm not a huge fan of that. Sure, you can pull it off, but it doesn't feel good to do it, you know? Yeah, really, that's it, I guess.
Rav, thank you for joining us again. As somebody with the ISK to be able to fund a massive, skillless blob of F1 pushers, what kind of things might you be hoping that CCP would announce they were going to address?
Honestly, just freshen up some things.
Yeah.
It's
do you mean some
great.
existing things?
Existing things, just I think I brought this up last time I was on, and regular iterations on ships, modules, keeping the meta not stagnant. Yeah, all the blobbing and everything. Yeah, no one likes that. Well, some people certainly do, but just keeping things fresh is something that seems simple that CCP could do that would be good.
I
Would
actually
keep
agree
people
with this, by the
interested.
way, like heavily as well. I think without changing big things, just freshening up the current meta, like changing it, iterating on it nonstop, even if it doesn't change the game, but just keep things fresh. Very much agree with this, Rav.
I think I've come up with. I've been thinking about this for some time now. I think I've come up with a way of describing it, namely that over the last few years, what we see from CCP on ship and weapon balance is the primary thing that they seem to focus on with ship and weapon balance is adding a brand new ship to like once or twice a year with a special snowflake unique ability. And what I would really, really love to see at this FanFest is no announcements of any weird, wild, brand new ships and specialized mechanics for that one ship. I would like to see them say, we have a big thing coming in ships and weapons, and that big thing is we're going to rebalance this entire class of ships. Like we're going to rebalance all battleships, or we're going to rebalance all cruisers, that kind of thing. Because I think that there's a lot of players in the game who think that getting a brand new ship into the game from nowhere is the most exciting thing that you can have with ships. And I think that what CCP doesn't realize is that an actual, honest, proper rebalance of a line of ships is a new ship to the game. If you take something that is useless now and you rebalance it for the modern meta, and you bring that entire line of ships into line, that is all sorts of new toys and sweets that people weren't using or enjoying before.
Yeah, you don't need gimmicks. And I'd call some of the new mechanics in some of the recent ships, they are very gimmicky. You just need to fiddle the numbers on existing ships, and that will keep things fresh. I mean, it's not just ships and weapons. I just wanted to chat. Combat anomalies, missions. They've stayed the same for decades. In some cases, change. Something new, something different across even the PvE side of the game is something at least not stagnant. All these things are solved problems, optimized. Just fresh, tweak
I think
things.
there's one thing that I think that they've done really well with PvE, and it's a good few years ago now, and I think that they did for PvE and EVE Online for what it is. They did a really good job with Abyssal PvE. Now we'll push aside the semi-instancing argument and debates about that, but it's a type of PvE that you have to be alert. You have to actually look at your screen and take active part in, and I think that proves that CCP is perfectly capable of designing engaging PvE. And I've said this to some people before, and they've said, "No, I'll just do the AFK one instead because it's easier." Well, I mean, the answer's obvious, isn't it? You make the one that's harder to do give you more risk, and that's what Abyssal does for the game.
Talking about PvE, if I can say something about something that CCP did really well, and I would love to see more of, actually. I don't know how deep you got. Did anybody here go deep into the Wolf of Heimatar, the whole SCC side memeing?
What's this?
Okay, so I mean, obviously, there's like the I don't know what the fuck they're called, the banks in nullsec, yeah? And in order to open the super bank, you need to fucking key. And in order to get the key, you need to run sites in lowsec that you scan. There can only be I didn't remember, or I don't remember because it's been a long time since this was actually like profitable, right? But it was like we were making per player, like you need 2 characters if you want to be super efficient, 3, and you can make like 100 bill per day, right? The payout was massive. The competition was the most insane, okay? It was non-instanced, and it was super fucking insane. It was like the most high-octane PvE ever, dude.
Don't those sites don't the gates lock after you've put 3 people through them?
Yes, they do. But that creates
set people traps up on the entrances.
Yeah, you set up traps. You set up traps. You get ready to sort of like when somebody gates in, you gate in behind them, like the craziest fucking marauder fits. Like you have to do it in a marauder, and then you have somebody going in with a fucking marauder that can be neutered out by 2 Balgorns at the same time and tank like, I don't know, 5k DPS cap stable, right? So it was the most insane fits, the most competitive scene ever, because the money to be made was huge, right? Especially because everybody knew there was only a limited amount of sites available at a time, and when one was finished, a new one immediately spawned again, right? We figured that out, and the hunt for those was incredible. The intel gathering on where the next one is going to be or is spotted, and yeah, I don't know, really good payout, really like dangerous PvE, right? Because the fucking sites hurt, and you could lose like a 20 bill marauder, and the competition PvP wise was nuts as well. And I would love to see more of that, to be honest. That would make me log in just to PvE, because this PvE is actually fun to do, makes money to my bank account, and I get to PvP really expensive ships. That's pretty cool.
I think that the success there the success that you experienced at the time is kind of all about the risk being very real. I mean, CCP obviously in their heads, they know that they want to make PvE that is both high reward and obviously equally high risk. But typically content comes out and people figure out how to keep the ISK at that super high level and remove virtually all of the risk.
Yeah, but you couldn't remove the risk on this, right? Like you were being hunted, and once you looted it, right? Like once you looted it, you still had to gate somewhere, right? Like you had to get it was a physical item you looted, So like the gates were camped by alts. Like the competition on these was incredible because the money was insane, Even if you weren't PvP'd on the side, in the side, outside the side, you were PvP'd on a gate by the people contesting you.
Okay. So, I mean, we over the end of the winter at the Christmas event, we had the ice storms, and that created for us nightly endless PvP. At first ganking PvEers, and then as they got wise, groups trying to come and stop us from doing that. So we got real PvP out of it, not just ganking pointless PvE ships. And we've got the event that's going on at this moment, which seemingly nobody in the world, I can't even remember the name of this event. I've not seen anybody running this event. and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's doing it. It's a real kind of roller coaster of highs and lows with the seasonal PvE in this game as well. I don't know if any of you guys have run it. Definitely not you at the moment, Baltram. But yeah,
No, not me, but I
Um,
know them. Like whenever they happen, it's incredible fun, and I think that is something that Eve
except this one.
needs. And to go back what Rav said, what I would love to be announced, rather than what you said, Fent, of like we're rebalancing, this specific thing, is do something that other MMOs, like I think, like the big MMO out there, even though it's a
Please
theme
don't say
park.
seasons. It's Pulse Laser
No,
season. Please don't tell
no.
me that.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Like kinda, right? Like kinda to some degree. Like if you look at like WoW, Blizzard keeps rebalancing the classes every fucking month, and every month the meta changes, I would be happy to log into a game where every month there's like a fresh meta to play, and not like everybody flies X ship and
but
everybody else.
you can get that. You can get a fresh meta when if CCP was regularly doing rebalances of
Yeah.
ships and weapons in the game, not regularly doing seasons where one thing was deliberately made to be OP for a month.
Oh no, I don't mean that. I mean like regularly,
Okay,
like
all right, okay.
change things up. Be like, okay, you know what? Guess we're gonna maybe buff the Ferox a bit. We're gonna buff this a bit. We're gonna buff this a bit, and nerf this and that and that. And then in 2 months, hey, we're gonna nerf these things again and buff some other shit instead. You don't have to call it seasons, but keep changing ship stats. Like they removed the micro warp drive signature bonus on hacks. And now they put them back, and guess who logged back in MD5, But it took them like what 3, 4, 5 years, to realize that
Yeah.
wow, maybe that sick bonus was actually pretty sick,
Yep.
5
Yeah.
years is insane. Could have
Yeah,
been 3 months.
the time between iterations is absurd. But yeah,
But
on this,
they
like,
seemingly have all the time in the world to make an entirely new ship and brand new mechanic, which obviously is making a brand new mechanic in the game is a far bigger job than changing the numbers on existing ships and weapons.
Yeah,
think,
it boggles my mind why everything takes so long, because it is so simple to change just a few numbers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be obviously you'd want them to think things through, but
Yes.
it doesn't have to be perfect. It can, they can make a ship a bit ridiculous for a few weeks. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be fresh, and we see regular change.
At
how
least every 6
often do
months.
you want change? Okay. Because they just made
Did
big
you just read
changes.
chat as well?
They just made big changes with the Revenant Major update on March 12th.
Yeah,
right?
what changes did they make?
Well, they made the industrial overhaul, the mining sovereignty upgrades.
Okay, hold on. We're talking about ship and weapon balance, and they changed
projection.
favorably the pricing of these things here. We're talking. I think I know Rav Bolt. We were talking about specifically ship and weapon balance. I mean, that's a bigger topic. Okay, listen, we're talking about what we are dreaming CCP will do at FanFest. Redline, I agree. I am begging for CCP to announce at FanFest that they are growing at least the tiniest balls in the world and just adding fatigue to Ansiblexes. But yeah, ship and weapon balance rather than introducing brand new ships and mechanics is what I want.
Okay, crazy angle, boys. Okay, add fatigue to Ansiblexes, take fatigue away from capitals. I said it.
Yeah, but we already had that, and it was a terrible situation.
No, it was fucking epic, dude. Oh my god.
It wasn't epic. It was Pandemic Legion keeping everybody else in the game completely capital neutered for the entirety of pre-Phoebe.
But I was still able to fucking yeet my caps across the fucking galaxy and have some fun somewhere as well. And now it's like, I guess I can't do that. It's like, And I wasn't a big boy. I was far from being a big boy. And all the other non-big boys were also able to be like, oh, we got intel across the galaxy. Let's fucking yeet, Now it's like, I guess we can't leave our home with caps. Guess it's fucking, I don't know what the current subcap meta is.
Losec is currently seeing a Dread Brawl every month and a half at the moment for several months in a row. So it's not like people are unable to have capital fights.
Size,
yeah, like an actual one, not like someone dropped 10 dreads.
I mean, that still happens regularly, but yeah, it's all right at the moment.
I mean, as well as.
I said crazy angle, you know. I don't like fatigue on
Okay.
caps. I think remote rep and fitting on combat fitting should be a thing. Combat
Please.
refits on
Yes,
caps.
yes,
Combat.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. They should. I don't know why they didn't make. I mean, to begin with, I was like, why didn't they just exclude faxes from the limitation and let them just always combat refit? But honestly, these days, I would be up for all capital ships being able to combat refit.
Yeah.
Because
no fatigue and combat refit, dude. Off we go. Gets people into space. You get the intel. No, think about it, dude. Somebody just said it in space, in chat as well, right? Gets people into fucking space. At least that's how I interpret
no,
the
that
comment.
is gets people into space is a weasel phrase used to beg for umbrella protected mass rockwool mining and things like
Oh,
that.
no,
That
no,
is
no,
what
no.
ships in space is a weasel phrase to ask for.
You know,
ships in space, ships in space. People in this game, loads of people in this game will
They're
say,
full of shit.
allow my Titan to go around and AoE doomsday entire fleets, and then allow me to immediately dip and cloak. And they'll say, because it's making my Titan be out in space. And it's one of the thickest, like most transparent arguments I've ever seen in the entire
Ships in
world.
space also means wherever you are in Eve, someone with 20,000 of their closest friends can be in space with you there instantly.
okay, but you have to think this through, okay? Like, let's say I'm the small boy and I'm doing like a 3-man cap situation. Some bigger boy is dropping like 10 caps on me. I have a friend who has some more caps, so I'm like, yo, hello there, friendly alliance, come and blob me the fuck out so I'm safe. This blob comes in, big nullsec blob gets the intel, brings their big capital blob. But now there's
thank goodness fatigue exists, but
there's multiple nullsec blobs. So this nullsec blob and all these people that you're so scared of, right? Of this PL thing, right? Like you live in like fucking Eve from like 15 years ago, right? It's not a thing. There's not just like one capital player in the game. Everybody has a cap bomb that is so scary that they're all fucking scared to go to war with each other anyways. So allow people to fucking move.
Haven't you just essentially said allow them to move around and so that we get caps in space, and then simultaneously said people will be too scared to use their caps in space?
No, I think people will still use caps, but I don't think it will be as bad as you think. I don't think they can basically combat will happen, is what I think, but they won't like just gank gigantically everything because they can't afford, because the chance of getting counter ganked is pretty high. It's not like you cannot be, there is no PL from 12 years ago that nobody, or I don't know, 15 years ago that nobody can contest.
That's exactly, yeah, that is a good point. They're all as big as each other and their hammers are equally sized.
Exactly. Right? So PvP will happen, and this fear of this PL alliance dominating the ass out of you is absolutely like
but it
not
did
real.
happen. It demonstrably happened repeatedly.
Yeah, but it happened 15 years ago. It was a different game, you know?
Got a point.
Now we're fucking one-shotting Titans. We're one-shotting Titans, dude. Back then, we couldn't kill a fucking Archon under fucking remote reps, you know? I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Crazy
all
angle.
I know is that
That's what I started it with.
Back then, we were using capitals, and every single one of our doctrines and our strategies had to be based around only being able to triage or siege for 5 minutes. Every single battle plan had to be, the engagement has to be 5 minutes, because you would deploy a capital, and then on the map you would watch the Sino beacons appearing towards your location the second you put a single cap on the field. And so all of our fights had to be done within 5 minutes, or the giga blob of capitals would arrive.
I think that was fucking epic. I played that game as well, Fant, you know, and I still played that game until I quit the game, you know. Every time you re-siege, you know, your chance of survival goes down massively. No?
I mean, I disagree, but you know, if you want, I disagree.
If you could replace your dreads easily, then
yeah,
it becomes that is a lot less.
That'll help. That would help.
So someone
I
in
have a curve.
The
Go on, sorry.
Decatur Imperator is saying that you don't have to change projection or anything. No fatigue, nothing like that. Just remove scarcity.
Well,
Scarcity is a non
remove
thing.
surgical strike.
yeah, scarcity doesn't really exist currently because
It's
with
just
battleship
What
prices
do you
being
mean?
now affordable
Scarcity is just
T2 guns coming
pointless,
down.
a pointless word that doesn't actually have any reflection in reality. It's just so easy to come by now. The easiest it's ever been.
Okay, well, pass me some ISK then.
materials are now easier to come by after the
Yeah.
last couple of months as well.
Throw me some ISK then if it's so easy.
If it's so easy, get out there and do it yourself. You've just been told. Hey, listen, I have a curveball thing that I would love to see from CCP, and it's it's slightly related to kill marks on ships, and that doesn't sound overly exciting to begin with, but what we have when we got kill marks on ships, what we got was proof that EVE Online is capable of giving per unique ship bits of information. I mean, you know, every assembled ship has its own unique ID. Your Megathron that you've had for 10 years assembled is the same Megathron for those 10 years. It doesn't like lose its uniqueness over time. And I think that there are some really cool places that CCP could go with additional stat information tied to your ship and personalization as well. I don't give a toss about skins, but what I would like to know is I'd like to be able to right click on my Megathron that I've had for 10 years and see the stats for that ship that say 100 final blows. You know, this much damage from this ship dealt ever since it was assembled, that kind of thing. And as far as personalization goes, I'd like to. It's something. I had previously thought of this just as a personalization thing before I thought of the stats, but I would like to be able to pay some Plex or some Evermarks or whatever, and write an inscription on my ship, not necessarily appearing on the hull, just in the info for the ship. You know, like a bio for a character. I'd like to be able to write a bio for the ship and spend some Plex to write it and lock it so that information, that writing, is applied to that ship. And, you know, underneath it'll say, this inscription was made by Phantomite on the 27th of April 2025, that kind of thing. And I'd like that to be viewable to the public.
That is going to produce a lot of reports.
You could simply use listen, people can type slurs and things into the Evon client all over the place, in places where people can read it in public, and they get dealt with when they are reported. I don't see why writing it in a public space on a ship would be any more load on CCP's support than people already writing it in local. If they're stupid enough to write it in local, then, you know, they're stupid enough to write it on the ship as well. But nonetheless, I think, do you kind of get where I'm going with this? Being able to prove that this is the ship, this is the Megathron that was in that fight 5 years ago, that kind of thing.
Sure. I like that.
I
That's
see
very harmless and cool.
I see what you're saying, and I think that you and 3 other people would be very gassed about that.
This happened. I thought about this maybe a year and a half ago when somebody in the group that we were at the time had put an astonishingly huge effort for 2 weeks into doing by themselves. They were doing a vast amount of effort securing a faction warfare system. They were out there flying and defending the plexes for hours a day. How healthy that is a different question. They were organizing the rest of us into gangs to come and assist with that. They were providing ships. They were doing all of this. And a couple of weeks went by and we had a huge victory in that system. And I thought, I really wish we could make something special for this person, for their efforts. And in the end, they had plenty of ISK. We gave them a Federation Navy fitted Comet as a sort of a token of, listen, we want to get this represents us recognizing what you've done. Like, we wanted to give them a special present, a special trophy. And I thought it would be so nice for our alliance leader at the time to be able to write in and lock a message onto that ship saying this ship is presented to this player for their efforts on this day. You know, just to turn it into, I mean, it's a bit of an evolution of the medal system. Who remembers that?
I
Right,
do.
that's still in the game. Yeah,
But that's a
how cool
great
would
system.
it
It's
be?
very underutilized.
It's very underutilized, but imagine a medal system as an inscription system on ships so that you can make things special to you as a gift to somebody else, as proof that this is the ship that famously did this, that kind of thing.
Have you
And I
got
think
any
it's a real
medals
missed
you're all
opportunity.
aware of, Fan?
Have I got what, sorry?
Medals you're aware of?
I'm not logged in at the moment, but I'm sure I do have a couple
Shock.
of medals on my
Proudly
profile. But
displayed.
I don't remember them. Is the thing. If it was a ship, it would be an item to cherish rather than just some colors on my bio. You know.
I mean, in a video game where it's commonplace to say ships are ammo, I disagree with you. But
And nothing stopping me
see,
buying a second Megathron, so I don't risk the famous one, is there?
that's true.
Yeah, there's
but then
also
what's the point of having the first ship? Yeah, a trophy. I get it. You want a trophy.
Adds more meaning to it if it dies, then, doesn't it?
exactly. I actually agree, dude. You know,
Yeah.
there's I have some ships that have lived for a very long time, and I've seen a lot of PvP. You know,
Mhm.
like some fucking 300 kill mark comets and shit. So,
You'd
I
pay 10 plex to make an inscription on it because you're proud of that ship.
no.
Okay, all right. Basically,
I'd pay
the
10
current
plex to
way
put an
that
inscription on your ship.
the current way that cosmetics works in Eve with clothes and skins for ships, I couldn't give the tiniest toss about skins and clothes, but I would care if I could more meaningfully identify ships that I feel are special to me.
Dude,
That's all.
clothing and portraits are very important. Long neck gang represent, by the way, okay?
Hey, it's
Long
important to
neck.
some people in the game. I think I've come up with something that could be important to, some of the people who currently don't have anything that they care about for cosmetics.
Okay,
Name
I'll come with
3.
another.
Name 3 people that would care about that Phantomite.
The neck protects.
Hey, listen, Baltram here said that he would quite like that ability to
Yeah,
exist in the game.
1 down, 2 to
I'll
go.
put my hand up. I'll put my hand up.
Yeah,
That sounds
Rav
cool.
thinks that's a good idea. as
One
far as
more
cosmetics
person.
go.
One more person to go. That's not already.
I tell you what,
here.
listen.
Someone in
type-
chat agree with us. Yeah, that's fun.
if you're in the chat and you would like the ability to put an inscription on your ship, then pop an X in chat.
I
To
bet
be
it's
honest, I'll probably
Avalar
say
to
something.
agree with.
Don't
I'll
X.
say something
Don't put any
offensive
X's
and
in
get
chat.
banned again. So
Yeah, I mean
I don't know
just the same way that if you don't want to get banned from the game, you wouldn't type a slur in local, then don't type a slur in the
yeah, but the thing is, like, people
inscription of
are
your ship.
okay. Like, unironically, people are offended by the weirdest shit, and CCP bans you for the fucking most insane stuff. I told you this after the last podcast
Mm.
situation here. I called somebody an idiot and caught a 7-day ban for saying
Mm.
idiot. Right.
Mhm.
So, I mean, sure, I didn't have to say that, but I don't think calling somebody an idiot for doing something really dumb is like too far out of the box. You know.
There are worse things to say for sure. So Fanfest.
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 Yeah.
Back to Fanfest. I wanted to come with another curious
Go on.
angle. Okay.
Yeah, do it.
Alright. So you know what I'm actually really missing in EVE Online, and this is something that would probably get me to log in as well. This is something that got me to log in the first place. Is like the myth of the stories and the myths of things, you know, and the danger and the harshness of the game, right? People say, oh, you know, Eve is fucking hard and, you know, it's like non-forgiving, blah, blah, blah. But it's so forgiving compared to like some time ago when it was actually, in my opinion, very cool. I would love to see, for example, a change the way citadels work to old outposts where when you lose access to that citadel, your stuff is not accessible. It doesn't go into asset safety. old outposts, you would hell camp, right? Like once you won a fight over an outpost, you would hell camp the fuck out of that outpost so it wouldn't be evacuated, and the alliance's assets that you just defeated are locked into that outpost, right?
Dead
First of all,
zoning.
yeah,
Dead zoning.
that was mwah, right?
Yeah, it's
First of all,
amazing.
you were able to really hurt
No,
people,
absolutely not.
and
Fuck that shit, dude. Why would you want to really hurt people in a video
because it's
game?
fucking
Go
amazing. That was what
Because
Eve was
it
go
about.
go kill a small
which
woodland
Yeah.
creature
there
or
are no
something, you
stakes.
psychopath.
No,
I think I
no.
have an in between. I think I
Eve
have
was
an.
all about that, right? And let me finish, right? It created myths. For example, some like space was also different, right? I think in addition to that, space needs to be different. Different regions need to provide different resources. The drone regions back in the old days used to have the fucking drones that dropped like curious resources,
Alloys, yeah.
right? And the Russians owned the drone regions, and they accumulated at the time the biggest riches imaginable in the drone regions and had it all locked up in one outpost. And then in some unfortunate war that they lost, they got their main outpost where their main riches were caught up, like taken away from them. And they got hellcamped. They probably evacuated part of it, but a lot was still locked up in this main like staging outpost situation. And for many years, every winter, there was a new Halloween war where the Russians would come and try to retake their home station, right? And it created, first of all, this narrative of like every Halloween, there's a new Halloween war that rages on where they go all out, right? And then the myths started coming about like what kind of riches can be buried in that station to make it worth to feed Titans at a time where losing a Titan was a big deal, right? And I'm not talking about like, like that it's bad we have so many Titans today. I'm talking more about like the investment to try and retake this station was so big, and it created myths and legends and stories to be told. There's no stories to be told today, right? The story is like, oh, X Alliance came, Y Alliance defended, they had a war, somebody lost, citadels were blown up, everybody left, new fucking keep stars were built, nothing changed. Like, how's that interesting?
I think that there's a kind of maybe to just build on what you said there. I think that one part of this, not the whole thing, one part of this could be remedied by really making it so that alliances do not pepper every single system with a keep star. Now, how you would accomplish that's a different discussion. But making it so that you don't just have, oh yeah, here's 3 keep stars facing each other, do what you want, mate. But I think that one important thing to say is that if it was extremely possible for somebody to just straight up lose all of their entire Eve life and not be able to get it back, that obviously is not very useful to encouraging people to play the game or to come back to the game. But on top of that, we have asset safety. I think that there are some improvements that could be made to asset safety, namely that if a citadel in Null blows up, I don't think you should be able to asset safety it to another citadel in the same system. I think that all asset safety in nullsec should go straight to lowsec. There shouldn't be any kind of, well, we've still got our stuff, we'll just move it over to this citadel in the same system, anything like that. I think that should go. And I think that the time that the assets are locked up for should be extended before you can get them back.
How long is it?
I don't know how long it is.
It's like
It's
3
not
weeks.
long enough.
You don't
3
even
weeks, there
so
we go.
you
It's
so
under
you
it's under
so
a
you
month.
don't even know how long it is, but you just want it to be longer. So like you
You're-
just want to
listen, Redline,
create
you're
more
right.
inconveniences
No, listen, you're right.
for the sake
you're
of
right.
creating them.
However,
Like you don't even
what
know
I
the
did
numbers
know,
you're talking
what I
about.
did know is that it is short enough that people don't care about it.
It's 2 weeks.
It's short enough that people don't care about it. So
People
whatever
do
it
care
is
about
right
it.
now, it should be extended to the extent where
What
it really
people
actually matters.
don't care about it, and what can't you do in 2 weeks? What system can't you take in 2 weeks? Like that's what assets. That's what the cooldown is for. So if you blow up a citadel with a bunch of your enemy shit in it, they lose access to it for that amount of time. Like that's just do that. Asset safety is fine. It's 2 weeks not having access to the stuff. What does making it longer do?
it puts that stash of ships and modules out of the war for that time.
Okay, so it's already out. It's already out of the war for 2 weeks. What does putting it out of the war longer do?
Clearly people don't care about it
Which
being 2
people?
weeks long.
I don't understand. People don't just like
People-
asset safety their shit willy-nilly, dude. I don't know what you're...
Yes, they do. Yes, they. Okay, I know that much. Absolutely, definitely. But we've got an interesting
I
comment
honestly
in
do
the
it all
chat.
the time because I can't be bothered to move stuff, so I'll just asset safety it.
Or perhaps it shouldn't have a time limit. It should have a volume limit. It's like once per day you can unlock, 500,000 meters worth of assets. Also, CCP, please normalize the size of the Bacarial.
Good lord.
But look at what Dictator Imperiata said in chat. He said, or attacker could drop a building to block asset safety, so defender has to kill it to start, so that their assets move to low sec. So like, as long as the block is there, that is essentially dead zoning the assets until they
again,
come in, like Baltram said, and
why-
declare war to get rid of that thing.
Why are we messing with asset safety? Like, for what?
Well, Baltram's point is to make it meaningful about the asset loss. But one key thing about before with Outposts is the assets weren't lost. They were still there. You just had to fight to get them back. And that Dictator's message in chat is him coming up with a potential proposal for, you don't lose your assets, but you have to fight to get them back.
How?
I think the point that there needs to be more, the higher stakes to wars in Null definitely needs to be in place. And Skyhawk has a good point here. The ability to end Tosis service and structures was a good mechanic with old Outposts. And yeah,
That as well, for sure.
Interaction with asset safety could be a part of that. They should definitely bring that back.
What I thought was really cool about Outposts as well, they couldn't defend themselves. Like, the Outposts couldn't just, like, fucking, I don't know, chain lightning you, okay? And you could entosis the service of the Outpost, and then the people inside had to undock, allowing small groups owning an Outpost, roaming to another small group owning an Outpost, and in order to force them to undock, you start entosising their fucking services, and suddenly they have to undock, and woo, PvP happens, and you're not getting fucking zapped by the fucking Outpost itself. That was pretty cool. Mwah.
I think this is a topic I want to join in with, but before I do, I just want to say, Rav, I know that you've got to head off. Do you have any kind of final words before you leave us for the rest of the show?
Thanks for having me. This has been fun. Looking through the schedule for Fanfest is misery, but I'm sure you guys will talk about that shortly.
Thank you, Rav. We will.
All right, enjoy. Ta-da.
Thank you. So yeah, sorry, Baltram. This is the sort of the differences between citadels and outposts of old, and what you used to be able to do and what you now can't do, and the protection it gives to the people that live there.
I mean, the thing is, you can say, like, I'm very nostalgic and I miss all the old things and I don't appreciate the new things, but I think we can play with Citadels. Citadels they're not fine, but they can be fine. I just think, like, systems could be better, like the way stuff works, right? I think Citadels are still too strong and they prohibit a lot of PvP, in my most humble of opinions.
Yeah. Well, obviously, that I'm not going to sort of bring these up in any particular order. I don't think that one of these is necessarily more important than the other, but one thing I will bring up is I think it's hugely oppressive that Citadels can be on the same grid as a Stargate.
Sure. I don't care. I don't know if that's important. I have no idea.
Well, what it means is that they can that support when you're fighting on a Stargate. Stargates, of course, one of the most important sudden unscheduled PvP locations in the game. You go to Sov Null. Most of the important Stargates on important routes have a citadel 1,000 kilometers off, and if it's a system with a few people active in it, what they can do is they can undock from the citadel when you're engaging their friend on a gate. They can undock. They can see the entire grid. They can choose where they warp rather than having to warp blind and maybe land in a bubble. That kind of thing.
Love it.
And
love that. What's wrong with that?
Well, previously they'd have to come from the outpost, which was often several AU away, and basically never essentially on a Stargate, giving them sort of click undock, and 10 seconds later you've already warped to the gate and you've arrived. They would have to start their warp blind from a outpost many AU away, not knowing if they're going to land in a bubble, taking time to warp, time that you could be using to kill their friend, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think that friend would be out there? They didn't have that safety in the first place, though.
I fucking would be, dude. I'm a fucking animal. As you said earlier, I'm a psychopath, dude, right? I go in, you kill my friends, I'm gonna fucking murder you, dude.
There you
I mean,
go.
you can certainly try.
1v1 me in a slicer, dude. Even after not playing for 3 years, dude, I'm a slicer
now?
fencing master.
All right.
I
I'll log in.
uninstalled Eve.
Oh, cowardice.
I actually did. I had to free up space. But if you want to have a
That's
slicer 1v1,
ridiculous.
I will reinstall.
Freeing up space in 2025 is crazy. Ultram. Crazy. Someone get this man another hard drive.
Being what?
Immediately.
Yeah. Dude, people are not optimizing their games anymore. Some downloads are like 500 GB, you know?
I understand.
So-
I recently downloaded the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remastered at 150 gigabytes.
Oh, but that's still okay, you know? Like some Korean games out there, or like, I don't know, like Call of Duty, that shit's like a 500 gig game.
Korean games.
But why?
Big maps.
Call
I
of
don't know,
Duty and all Korean games.
No, like, I don't know, I played
Big
like Lost Ark, that
maps.
shit. I played like Lost Ark, that shit was like, I don't know, 400 GB as well. Oof. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, anyways, let's jump into the schedule. Like we've been talking
Yeah, let's take a
for
look.
like almost
let's
an
talk
hour
about it.
now. We haven't even talked about the schedules. So, Thursday.
Sign language or fake sign
It
language.
was fake sign language. Every time, guys, every time I try to do that, it doesn't work though. I don't know why the audio doesn't work, but yeah, no, I gave you the link where this actual schedule for FanFest was.
Okay,
You
yeah, I
guys,
see the pictures. Yeah.
you guys were looking at it and
live text.
you were in dismay because you
Okay.
said there's nothing about Eve, which is weird. There are things about Eve, assuredly.
Yeah. Okay, so let me know when you've got it up for the. Are you going to have it up for the people to see?
I'll get something to drink real quick. Also, I'm installing Eve Online.
I'm gonna try to get it up for people to see. They might be able to hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, they
viewers?
can hear you. They can hear you.
Marvelous.
Okay, so I've got Thursday up on the screen now. So Thursday
Yes.
is our friend Rain. She's starting it off, with some weaponizing you for good stuff. But none of this is really gonna be actually like Eve content. Possibly.
Like CCP, here's some cool stuff content, you know.
Correct.
Yeah.
There may be some cool stuff in third-party tools, ESI and you. Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I know that on Friday. Now hold on, because Friday is different. Friday is when things really get started.
The item. I have just seen the item that I was saying I couldn't see before. I've seen the Eve Online.
The Eve keynote. This dude,
keynote,
like, listen, viewers of Untethered, Phantomite thought that Eve Online FanFest wasn't going to have an Eve Online keynote. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
Saturday, 1600.
Yes.
There we go. Well, the thing is, I'm on the page, the schedule page for Friday.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I've finally seen where it was. It's just, you know, on the schedule, there are a lot of major items on the schedule for games that are not EVE Online. We've got Vanguard, we've got the cryptocurrency game, and we've got the 4X game on mobile, all having big spots here. But yes, thankfully, the EVE Online keynote at 1600 EVE time, hopefully, which is going to give us, if not the details, the big headlines as to what we should be expecting to see. I'm sure that we'll see a incredible brand new trailer for EVE Online that ties into whatever the next expansion is going to be about.
Well, I doubt we're going to see that in a keynote, but we're probably going to see it the next day for the EVE Online expansion keynote.
Well, this is the thing. No. This is the thing. This is what they've done. The EVE keynote will be the big, vague reveal that hints at what areas of the game they're going to touch, and the next day will be where they go through the details.
You're right. The EVE keynote will be where they reveal the trailer.
It's
and
the
then,
difference between the headline and the story, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and then we have that whole day to like speculate on what the hell they're going to reveal. And then they actually reveal it, and it's nothing. And we waited for Fanfest again, but for what? We don't even know.
No, I don't know. I wouldn't put it like that. I mean, at least half of the Fanfests have a keynote and an expansion set of details about cool stuff that's coming to the game.
But here's the thing,
at least half of them.
Before I lose this thought, you mentioned that there's a lot of things for games that aren't EVE, and I want you to know that that is something that is not bad. That is a fantastic thing, because this is the first time in a long time that CCP has had promising video games other than EVE Online that are still being developed, that are actively being played, etc., etc. Like, this is this cool stuff. And it's less of like an EVE Online fan fest and more of it's just like an EVE universe, fan fest. Because really that's what this is. And it is exciting to see that the EVE universe is expanding and staying expanded.
Is. I mean, we've got the two big ones are obviously Frontier for Crypto EVE and Vanguard for the shooter. Now,
and Galaxy Conquest.
Vanguard,
Galaxy Conquest for the mobile boys.
Yeah, mobile boys, Conquest. I fucking love it, dude.
Do you guys not have mobiles?
No, I do. Stop talking shit. It's actually really fun. It's actually really fun. I play it every day.
Gotcha.
Religiously.
Okay. Well, that's a lot more positive than last week about the hopeful future prospects for Frontier. So yeah,
good. I'm hooked.
Good. So what I was going to say, I've lost my train of thought. I really hope, and I really think that there is a chance that at FanFest next weekend they are going to announce whatever their next phase for projection in EVE is. I don't know what that'll be.
What makes
they
you
did
think
say that their iteration on Ansiblexes a few months ago. They did say it's the first phase. He said this is the first phase in addressing projection that the CSM has brought up.
Well, weren't there
So
hobo
they said
leaks?
it's the first phase.
Weren't there hobo
We'll
leaks
see.
about drifter, like filaments to drifter wormholes or something?
If there were, I don't remember that. I mean, I would really also hope.
What if they just make it worse? What if they just make it easier to project? And they think they're fixing the problem. And then they are. Like, it makes more PvP happen, but then everyone's still mad. I don't know.
Viren says the keynote will be about EVE Frontier and Vanguard. But I don't think that's true because they have
their own keynotes.
They've got separate keynotes.
Yeah, I think the keynote that says EVE is actually going to be EVE Online, and the ones that say Vanguard and Frontier and Conquest are going to be those specific games. I think they're very specific with titling or whatever it would be worded.
There we go. Saturday at 11 in the morning, they have EVE Vanguard keynote. They have a separate Vanguard keynote, and they had another keynote somewhere for Crypto EVE. as well.
Anybody
So I
playing
don't think
Vanguard, by the way? Does anybody have intel on that? Because last time I played it, it was a looter shooter with one gun.
Well,
Oh man,
what I was thinking about with Vanguard was
it's a
I'm
looter shooter
thinking
with 2
it's
guns.
Okay.
we
I loved, by the way, I
Next
loved
iteration.
Dust 515. I actually got a, what was it, PS3, I think, and I played the fuck out of Dust 514, and I loved the implementation into EVE Online. It wasn't huge, but it was really cool. If they can do something like that
Yeah.
with Vanguard, that would be pretty cool as well.
I think that the dream of strong integration between the shooter and real Eve is a really cool dream to have. And I'm really grateful that with 514 they gave it just a little link to try it beforehand to see how well it went, rather than just putting tons and tons of integration in and then, in classic CCP style, abandoning it and not balancing it for years and years afterwards. So I'm grateful that they did it gently. And they appear to be doing it gently with Vanguard. You know, one of the things that they've said early on when we started beta testing, open, alpha testing Vanguard, was that it was going to affect something to do with faction warfare advantage, I think. Something along those lines. I'm sure
Corruption.
Rongo
Corruption.
Corvus will be able to tell me that. Something to do with corruption, that's right, because it was to do with pirate faction warfare, wasn't it?
Corruption,
so that's
suppression.
that's a small but meaningful link, and I think that's a good way to start it and to layer in more over time. But my overwhelming feeling about Vanguard is, isn't it about time this game came out? Because aren't we all going to start? Isn't the buzz going to? Well, hasn't the buzz kind of died down around it?
I don't know. I'm still waiting, to be honest. And when it's a bit more finished, I'm down to try it out. I don't care how long games take to develop, apart from like, what's his name, the Star game where they're selling $20K ships. I think it's okay to take your time with a game. You don't need to fucking be Call of Duty and release a fresh one every year.
Yeah, Scam Citizen. Thank you from Dictator.
It's not
There we
Scam
go.
Citizen. That's so fucked. It's such a fun game, and you guys are being so mean about it. I hate it.
I don't want to move the subject away from Eve, but I will just mention that so far it has been about 12 years since the game kickstarted and asked for people's money. It's so far raised from its pre-purchasing players and from investors over $700 million that they've been spending on it, and that they built a gigantic promise timeline of extra features they'd put in with all new funding, that some of it contradicts itself.
Wait, which game are we talking about?
Star Citizen.
Oh, dude, I don't care. We're talking about Eve. Like,
Yeah.
I know Star
All right,
Citizen
cool.
is a fun game. I might get it now that I have a good PC. I just know that it's in development forever, right? But so was Duke Nukem Forever, and
Yeah,
that
it
was
sucked.
And no, it was a Duke Nukem game. He said, "I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gun."
Isn't
that was
that
enough for
from
me.
Hold on, no. Isn't that from one of the Duke Nukem games that actually, like, before the one that went into development hell?
Yeah, but he still said it in a new one as well, and that was enough for me, dude.
Okay, all right.
It was a
Hey,
good
listen,
game.
if you could buy a cosmetics pack for your character in Eve that made your character smoke a cigar and say, "I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum."
Absolutely, I would look like Duke Nukem did. I made an Alliance logo and submitted it that had like a Duke Nukem homage in it, and they rejected it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw somebody
Fuck
refer to Duke
CCP for
Nukem
that,
as
dude.
Yeah, fuck him. The Duke is king. We even
somebody
talked.
who couldn't remember what Duke Nukem was called. They called him Dick Kickham. But yeah.
Dick Kickham did.
I'll tell you what. You know what I hear? What I hope we hear from the keynotes?
Yeah.
I hope we get more places to fight, more things to fight over. I think that would be fun, because a lot of the old stuff that you guys were talking about was based on players caring about it, and I just don't know that there's anything that the players care about much anymore.
Well, Baltram's point was that there were stakes.
No, it was a combination of stakes, right? Stakes were really high, and space, like each region was unique, right? And had like profits to be made, right? So you had a
not
reason...
just like you can get everything from every region.
Yeah, like there was a reason to be in a region, and there was a reason to fight for that region, and there was a reason to fight for your station, right? And I think yeah, making things profitable and worth fighting for in different places would be really cool. Rather than like, if they implement something that's really profitable and to fight over, they should implement different, like, I don't know, let's say there's a new ship. Okay, let's say they introduce a new ship and you need certain materials to build them. You shouldn't be able to get these materials in each region. You should be able to get one part in each region or something. I don't know, you know what I mean? Sort of like, there has to be a reason to go to a different region and potentially say, like, you know what, maybe we want this region because the profits are higher.
Yeah, like
There is obviously
yeah.
geography that makes a region be desirable, you know,
Mhm.
but I think what is in that region, what you can find in that region, should be a reason to be there as well, and should be something worth fighting over. I think that would be really cool, right?
I
Like
think that makes
the, the,
sense.
the
I
whole
think that
the
makes
whole
sense.
SEC
Yeah.
the whole SEC thing I talked about earlier, by the way, right? The way it worked was you could only get the cards in low sec, the keys, and they were locked by like what do you call it, like northeast, southwest, you know, like directions, and the southeast of lowsec would get the keys for the northwest of lowsec. So nullsec, I mean, right? So northwest of lowsec at the time was where the Chinese people were hanging out, printing the most money. So the keys for that region were the most profitable to sell.
There was more in the banks.
So the southeast lowsec was the most profitable to farm, and that was the highest contest there. And all other keys were contested as well. But there was a big reason to be in southeast lowsec in PvP for that stuff, because you couldn't get it anywhere else. And I think that was really cool.
I think that when you talk about geography mattering, then that's possibly the most important thing to want in this game to make. There's always going to be other aspects as well, but the geography is not just the shape of EVE Online, it's also the distribution of resources, and like there's a big spike of it here and there's none of it here, that kind of thing for various different things. Don't forget that we do have that to some extent when it comes specifically to capital production. You cannot build a capital with resources just from nullsec. You got to get some wormhole stuff, you got to get some low sec stuff as well to be able to build them. But obviously that doesn't really drive null on null war over resources, because that's from places that they either can't control or that they can't take sov over, things like that. So do you reckon that this could be as simple as there's more, there's more tritanium here and less in this region, that kind of thing, imbalancing the ores?
I don't know. Make it. I have no idea, right? Like, who knows? But they're probably going to introduce something new, I imagine, right? And I think new stuff to fight over is really cool, as Redline said, you know? But it should be sort of like unique things to unique regions, and not like this new thing is available everywhere equally,
I
right?
think
Like
there's something to be
like
said for
basically
scaling as well.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Something that CCP kind of, that it seems like they're always tempted to do, is to come up with a new thing that you can do and then scale and then have so many different versions of it, so that this feature is for solo players, it's also for people in high sec flying a T1 frig, and it's also for people in null sec at different sizes. And I think that CCP should be brave enough to make more things that are just for one area of the game, rather than say there's 3 different versions, for high, low, and null of this kind of thing.
Not just high, low, and null, but like I don't know, just like it used to be with the drones dropping unique materials in the drone regions. I think if they introduce something new, there should be different versions of it in different regions, offering different rewards, and some of them might end up, or should end up probably, more valuable than others, giving groups a reason to be like, you know what, I kind of want that space,
Yeah, well, and not unlike sort of, if we think back, well, no, we can look at it now with Metanoxes, right? Not every moon provides the same good materials. Some of it provides stuff that's worth a lot more, so that's the one worth fighting over. And they're not entirely, it's not like every system has an R64. You know, it's like this system has none, this system has none, this one has one, this one has three. You know, that kind of thing. It makes different places have different values. I think that
What
makes
else?
sense.
What else can we think about that CCP might add that would be cool?
They might actually add. I mean, I can think of some things that CCP might announce where they're changing some existing things, and I
Right.
think that there's honestly easily as high as a 50-50 chance that they would announce a revamp on Citadel mechanics, for example. I think that they might say, you know, they'll give it a special name and make it sound badass, but really it's a nerf, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. Also, I don't know if the player base would like it at all. You know, I mean, Redline doesn't like the idea, and I think there's a lot of people that would agree with him. You know,
I think there's a lot
and I
of
think
people that would agree
CCP is
with
very much
Redline, but it
aware of
doesn't mean
that.
he's right.
You know, but I think CCP is still aware of the amount of people that would welcome a certain change to some degree, at least.
Yeah, I think so. I think that right now we have a CSM that has repeatedly stated that they are united on a lot of thoughts and ideas than we have seen in previous CSMs. So, you know, people have their differing views about different members of the CSM and the groups that people on the CSM are from. But I, for one, feel that this is one of the best CSM groups that the game has ever seen. You know,
Can't
I'm
even
not going to
remember
tell you that
3 of their names.
To me, it very much feels like, you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect. Everybody's a human with their own biases and things like that. But I very much feel that this is one of the best 12 that have ever been together at one time, and it really makes me feel positive about the game and for the near future of the game as well. I think
Who's on
that's
the
about.
CSM, by the way?
We're
Is
on
Invidia on there?
CSM 19. I mean, are you sure you'd even know if we put the picture up? Well,
Sorry, what?
are you sure you'd even know who they were if we put the picture up so that you could see the members
Break
of the
Idon.
CSM?
I recognize that name.
Yeah.
Ether. Oh, from Neurotox. Okay.
You might be looking at an old one.
No, that says 19. No. September 24. Oh no, somehow Phantomite is on there, so there's no way.
Thank you, Bolt. I think you're just looking at the voting positions.
Oh, okay. I goofed it.
Wow. It feels like you've been saving that one for like half a year to like bring it all right
No,
back right now.
no. I didn't mean it in a bad way. It was more like I know you're not in the CSM right now, and I see Phantomite on that list. So I'm like, okay, this can't be the CSM list because I know you're not on it currently, you know?
Listen, I think it might be good for us to just scan through the Friday and the Saturday and see is there anything else before we look to wrap up what we're talking about today. If we look through the 3-day schedule and see is there anything else aside from the keynote and the expansion presentations that anybody is particularly looking for. I mean, I think you've mentioned it before, Belt, but there is going to be a lore panel on the Friday as well. I know that that's part of the story of Eve that's been more active in the past.
I'm actually a big lore guy, like not huge, right? Like some actual lore gamers, but I'm a big lore guy. I read all the, what are they called? The Eve Chronicles and everything related to that, right? I thought they were really good, and I tried to keep up with the lore. They lost me at some point, I don't know, a couple years ago. I think what's happening with the Drifters right now is very interesting, and I want to see where it goes. Because last time Drifters did something, which was a while ago at this point, when it was like when they invaded like nullsec and started like randomly reinforcing and killing citadels. I think that was like the last time Drifters were a thing. it looked like something big is gonna happen and the game is gonna change, and then nothing ended up happening, right? Like we had like the observatories show up and whatever. But maybe something cool will happen now, probably combined with the expansion. So I guess the lore panel is relevant to the upcoming expansion. I mean, it obviously is, but I'm pretty excited for that. I want to know what's new mechanics are coming and what's the lore with it, and then see if any guesses are possible on where it's going to go from there.
Okay. We've got an interesting player item on the Friday on the main stage called "Are You Content with Your Content?" Now that's got Keisha Lideron presenting that, and she does a lot of work with, to help newer players, but also she does a lot of work to promote players who have been around, for some time and who are trying to do things, be leaders, doing interesting things in EVE Online. So, I think that that's going to be potentially an item with a good chance of showcasing. Here's what else you can do in EVE, guys, and this is what people are doing.
Something that I'm actually looking forward to as well is the keynote here that people might be completely like going over and being like, this is not very interesting, is second stage Friday, Little Things panel, right?
Oh, good grief, yeah.
From my memory at least, the Little Things panel is sometimes actually quite interesting. It's nothing balance related. It's usually some weird statistics or some weird technology change, right, on the way the server works on or something. And that is actually
UI
pretty,
stuff as well.
like it can be UI, it can be
Mm.
server, it can be like code related, but that really opens up to what CCP can do with the game. So the Little Things panel is something to potentially look out for. Like I actually always probably watch that more than, I don't know, like some hyped up promoters promoting the new expansion, because the Little Things panel is more like, like the small cog wheels turning, keeping the machines running, and I think that's very interesting.
There's an interesting one that is marked as 2 p.m. at 1400 on Saturday at the third location, the pink location that I can't pronounce.
We need Ben's
Caldelon?
It's
Well,
for sure not Catalan, dude. It's
yeah, probably. It unfortunately that item overlaps into the expansion panel. Well, it's during the expansion keynote. It's during the expansion keynote, so it's probably something that people will watch afterwards, right?
What
But
is
it's just
graphite, by the
called
way? Is that an engine?
graphite.
Because it says it on the
Is
Catalan thing,
I
right?
I think that I think that the graphite is to do with character simulation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this item is titled. It's just titled "Kill Mails." There's nothing else there.
Logi on kill
Logi on
males.
kill mails would be sick. That would actually be something I would love much more than like putting a decal for Plex on my ship, right? Like who cares? Logi on kill mails, dude, that would be insane.
So that could be interesting, but I doubt many people will be watching it. This is, of course, me assuming that these items will all be streamed. It might just be the main stage that gets streamed here, for all we know. They might not stream everything else. Often, things that they didn't stream, they will have recordings of them that they'll put on YouTube later. So that might be one to look out for, depending on what they're going to talk about.
There's a specific set of stuff that there's.
Yeah.
I will put that on. Oh,
Okay.
specifically.
Ah, excellent. Okay. So yeah, there is one single channel and it's going to be mostly basically main stage stuff.
Eve keynote.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Art of Eve, I don't care. Vanguard keynote, actually, I think, to be honest, very interesting.
I'd watch that,
Potentially,
yeah.
yeah, I will watch it. Potentially very interesting. Potentially a fun game to play. Potentially it's still a looter shooter with 2 guns. I hope not. But I think I think there's a lot of potential, at least still.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I really want to know what their plan is to get this into the hands of the world, because just advertising it to EVE Online players is probably not a big enough pool of people to make that game live. It's going to have to go beyond that. And I wish CCP the very best with finally being able to publish something that has 500,000 concurrent players one day. The shooter could be it if it's good, if people like the movement, if people like the gameplay, if people like the maps and the guns and things like that. We don't yet know what CCP's monetization plan with that is. Are they going to sell that game? Is it going to require a subscription? I mean, they're kind of dancing with the idea of making it be Omega only, but does that mean there'll be a free-to-play version of it as well? We don't know.
Concerning Omega, by the way, I want to toss like a quick meme in again, a copy paste from World of Warcraft. I think Blizzard did a really smart thing. If you subscribe to normal WoW, you immediately subscribe to classic WoW as well, and vice versa, right? Meaning that if you subscribe to EVE, you could be subscribed to Vanguard and vice versa. I think that would be a very smart move because you would get all your EVE players to play the shooter, or at least give them the ability to play. And all the
Yeah.
shooter players would be like, oh, you know what? I'm already subscribed to this. Like people that are just like they hear of a shooter, looter shooter, they're subbing, and they're like, you know what? I'm
No, Viren,
just
by the way. No, it doesn't.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
go
I'm
on.
subbed to Vanguard, and I'm already automatically through that also capable of playing Omega EVE Online. You know what? I'm gonna
Yeah,
download
but
that game and have a look.
but the idea of being Omega gets you both, and the idea of being Omega to play Vanguard really kind of has an implication of it being a subscription-based shooter, which is just straight up never going to work.
No, it absolutely does, dude. It absolutely does. It can just be like a season pass or something, right? Like how much does a season
Okay.
pass in a current shooter cost? Probably the same as a subscription in EVE, you know? Like make it a season pass in Vanguard or some shit, call it a season pass.
Okay.
I don't care, call it Omega.
Okay.
It's like we're in 2025, you're getting milked everywhere, left, right, top, and center. And I think a subscription for a shooter is not over the top, to
Yes, we do live in a world there where people will see, do you want to pay a penny for a good game or do you want a bad game for free? And half of them will choose the bad game for free rather than spend a penny on the
You
good
can
game.
still play Vanguard as an alpha or whatever it's called,
Okay,
right?
all right, there we go. Okay, so
Well,
that's
you
the
could in
kind
the
of
last
ease people in.
playtest.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you
far,
could what?
it's just the tests have just been restricted to people who can play Omega accounts, or who had
Yes.
Omega accounts, except for the last one was anyone could play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All
I
right.
think it would
They're
be pretty
getting
cool.
there.
Guys,
But now,
final thoughts. I mean, for one, I'll say, there are a lot of EVE players who have already landed in Iceland and people who are on their way now. There's beyond the actual FanFest schedule, there's a bunch of events going on in Reykjavik that people are going to be taking part in. I hope that they're all having a good time and are about to have a good time. Meeting up with each other. Some people for the very first time. It's going to be magical for a lot of people.
That sounds so wholesome.
I mean, it is a wholesome event.
Yeah, it actually is, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
True,
I
true.
hope it sucks. I hope everybody has a terrible time. I hope you get sick. I hope you.
Yeah, I hope CCP makes a
You
really bad show. I hope
sneeze.
they only present bullshit. I hope they hate the experience. Fuck them, dude. I'm
That's what
joking.
you get for being able to go to Iceland for 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
No,
I got
I
a
actually, to be
job
honest,
and bills. Ugh.
I really dislike EVE in its current state, but and I'm very pessimistic about it, but
I
every
don't even
FanFest,
know
I
what
still
EVE's
hope,
current state is, bro.
but I try to log in and I PvP and I'm like, it's not very interesting, you know?
You're doing the wrong thing, bro. Something different.
On Street Corner, Becky says, "Hate to be the
But what I
heart."
want to say, every FanFest, I'm still very hopeful that something cool happens.
Good, because
Mm.
you hate
but
EVE in its
Sandbox
current
came,
state,
bro.
but
No,
you love EVE.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I do love EVE.
It's
I
just not
just
good
think
enough.
currently it's I don't know. Mm,
Hey, listen, I want to say
Not for
one
me,
thing.
and I hope it becomes again, and I hope that a lot of I know a lot of people that quit. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know a lot of people that quit, and I would love to see these people back, have a reason to log in and play the game, or new people to come and play the game. That's what I
We
want
need-
because I love Eve.
You want there to be real opportunity for fun, and you don't feel it's right there.
I
at
think
the
there is
moment.
opportunity for fun.
Well,
Just
here we go. Look, so Street
Yeah.
Corner Becky says, "Hate to be the glass half empty person, but I couldn't imagine spending that kind of money to go to FanFest." And that gives me one big final thing. You know, my final thought for today is that CCP should, and it should be in Iceland most of the time, but they should bring back the World Tour. That was great. That was a great opportunity for so many more people to be able to attend a multiple location, smaller set of FanFest events. You know, it being here in Britain for one of the days, you know, one of the evenings of the World Tour had, you know, 1,000 people show up at something that they only had to commit to for one night, that they didn't have to fly somewhere for, that they didn't have to get 2 weeks of hotel for, that kind of thing. It made it so incredibly reachable. And I really hope that they do a world tour again.
Same, actually. Didn't they also used to support like gatherings of Eve gamers? You know, like
They still
Eve
do.
gathers.
They still do.
Oh, they still do. Okay.
There's Eve London coming up, and there are
Outside of Eve
always
London, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like as a player event.
Because I remember there being one in Germany and one in Austria, and they stopped supporting it, and I was like, why?
Well, I mean, it'd be great if they could, you know, to Frankfurt or Berlin to bring, you know, one day of the Eve FanFest World Tour there, and it'd be great if they could, you know, bring another one to, you know, Las
America.
Vegas.
Bring it
Yeah.
to the fucking like they did that one in Las Vegas. I think that was a big thing.
Well, they do Eve Vegas regularly.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
they like integrated it into the World Tour that time, so that it
Oh,
was
okay,
like
okay.
And the World Tour was essentially FanFest split over individual evenings in multiple places around the world over a few months or a few weeks, whatever it was. And yeah, it was
Oh, CCP does
fantastic
not
opportunity.
run. CCP does not run Vegas anymore. Yeah.
No, they don't run it, but it still happens.
Yeah, like the same thing happens in Austria and Germany as well. It's just it's way smaller because CCP stopped supporting, right? And I was like, when the support from CCP came, it was like a big thing, you know, compared to without the support.
And of course, with the World Tour, it meant that at these events, they got to actually reveal something to everybody. It was a unique reveal every time of another part of you know, their plans coming up. So it's like an extended FanFest, but more accessible. Anyway, hey, listen, Bartram, have you got any kind of final sort of thoughts about FanFest and maybe the future?
I hope something cool happens. I actually think the new I hope the new ships that they implemented that people say they're like very niche, I think are already a really cool thing, right? It's a ship that puts a dot on something. That's already a cool thing. To be honest, I'm a niche gamer. I think if they add more niche ships, maybe, you know, that is pretty cool because niche things are cool. I think an MMO needs a lot of niches within it for a lot of people, like to fill the niches for the people that like to play them, right? So if they do that, I think that's a cool thing. If they do anything else, that will be hopefully very cool as well.
Redline, how are you feeling? Silent, apparently. Can't hear a word you're saying.
Yeah, man's muted.
Yeah, he's not. You can't hear him. He might just be pretending.
Yeah, maybe he's like.
Unbelievable. Can he even hear that we can't hear him?
No, I don't think he can, dude.
Well, how is he responding to
he's
us?
clapping his
He's just
hands.
trolling.
Yeah, he's clapping his hands and he's. Yep, he's saying a lot, dude. Look, he's
animated.
I'm communicating with him, dude.
No, I don't have any final thoughts.
Oh,
I've said all my thoughts.
Well, yeah, but that's it. That's great. Thank you.
It's a fun moment. Having some fun.
I have one final question, actually.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
CCP tease anything what to potentially expect?
No.
No.
Okay.
There's been some stuff with drifters. There's been some
Yep.
stuff with drifters, but there's not anything much to be hyped about. So no wait till FanFest this year. We're just gonna see what's there. Hopefully it's good.
Very much wait till FanFest.
Yeah. All right, I've started a raid. Our friend Rose, I believe, is streaming,
Perfect.
doing an interview.
Excellent.
Ranger Gamma.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. We are hoping to be able to look at some of the big headlines this time next week.
All right. I'm very hyped actually now. I wasn't very hyped before, but now I'm very hyped. Very cool.
Excellent.
Aw,
I
we
feel
helped
like
you
it's
get
good that we've helped
excited.
you out. Yeah.
Huh? What do you say, Redline?
We helped you get excited. We'll take it.
Yeah, you actually did. That was pretty cool. I fucking love it. I'm actually hyped. I'm gonna watch it if I have time, but I hope
But hey,
I can make
listen,
the time.
Ultram, here's the thing.
Yeah.
So you're trying to log into Eve and do the same thing you used to do 3 years ago, but the
Mhm.
game changes more often than you think it does. And once you realize that and you try to do something different, it's actually better than you remember. Just
Yeah.
food for thought.
You can
But
still go
until
out there
then,
and brawl,
we'll see
but the ship is different.
you next week, everybody.
Give it a wave.
Bye.
I clicked the button.